So, Gifty wants to know which dance move she should end 2020 with. You know, there's that dance where it's like you are chopping meat and dodging scorpions. Yeah. You should try that one. Anyway, my goodness, we've made it to the end of this confounded year. I bet you're thankful to God for keeping you alive to see the 31st of December 2020, aren't you? I'm sure all of us who believe in God certainly see this as yet another example of His grace, which we don't deserve. You know, a random act of benevolence which we haven't earned but have been granted free of charge. Now, I agree with the fact that being alive today is an act of grace, but as to the randomness of it, well, I have a slightly different perspective for your consideration. What if your survival is not a coincidence? What if it wasn't by a simple act of random benevolence that you have lived to see today? What if it wasn't by luck that this morning we are counting you among the living and not the dead? What if it was all very deliberate? You see, no matter where you are, at home, at work, in the car, wherever you are right now, just take a look around you. You'll notice patterns in how God created everything. There is always a balance between all things and a purpose for all things. From the tiniest ant to the largest whale, from the smallest atom to the widest ocean, from the most minute molecule to the most magnificent mountain. Every plant, animal, and organism is playing a role in keeping the world turning perfectly on its axis. Every fragment of this planet is playing a unique and irreplaceable role in keeping us all alive. Remove just one element, and we all come crashing down. I talked about this earlier this week, I think it was on Monday, and then I later discovered it was Albert Einstein who famously said, and I can now quote, "If the bee disappeared off the face of the earth, man would only have 4 years left to live." Now, if ever there was a man who understood patterns, it was Einstein. I've also been giving some thought to the reason why Einstein is actually spot on. If bees did not exist to carry pollen from one plant to the other, perhaps about 80% of all plant life would die out. The remaining plants that can't reproduce without pollen would be in dangerously short supply, as all animals, including man, fight over them until they also run out. Then man would turn on animals, and the animals would also die out. Man might be the last to go, but with no plants or animals to keep the ecological cycles of the earth going, the planet itself would die beneath us, leaving maybe a few human survivors, but they would have nothing to survive on. It might take longer than Einstein's 4 years, but our death as a race would be inevitable. All because we lost the bee. So, my dear friend, it starts to become clear that the intelligent design with which God made all things is visible in everything. He didn't just make us as individual miracles. He connected all His miracles to each other. In the same way that every single organ, tissue, sinew, and vein in your body are connected to each other, so that the removal of one affects the function of all others, that is how each and every one of us has been designated a function without which the very earth will fall. So I want you to think about this for a minute. You're alive today. It's a miracle, but it is not random. You have been preserved for a purpose. You remain for a reason. If God has not taken you away yet, it's because without you, perhaps we all die. That is the thought I would like you to approach this week, this year with. Whoever you are, whatever you do, whether you're rich or poor, educated or illiterate, employed or unemployed, married, single, divorced, orphan, parent, child, Christian, Muslim, black or white, please know that you are here for a purpose, and the world will not survive unless you fulfill that purpose. That makes you the most important human in the world. Act accordingly. My name is Kojo Yankson, and God's plan cannot work without me. Good morning, Ghana.
Oh, good morning, Kojo Yankson. Thank you for this beautiful message of motivation. I'm happy that we're ending the year with this, entering another year.
Yes, indeed.
We're there.
Yes, indeed. And it's
I didn't know Kojo could preach. But actually, I mean, Kojo is not your typical, religious, spiritual guy. But he can, he's got the anointing. He's just not making
Hello, good morning and welcome to the AM News with me, Mapita CBD. Now in our first story, 2020 NDC presidential candidate John Mahama has accused the Electoral Commission of vote padding, engaging in wrong aggregation of valid votes and breaching constitutional provisions. These actions, he argues, resulted in the unlawful declaration of the NPP's Nana Akufo-Addo as president-elect. He wants the Apex Court to set aside the declaration by the EC and order a second election between himself and Nana Akufo-Addo. Court correspondent Joseph Akablay was at the Supreme Court as representatives of John Mahama filed the election petition on his behalf.
For hours, anxious pressmen waited to see if John Mahama will meet the 21-day deadline allowed for the challenge of a presidential election results at the Supreme Court. Few minutes past midday, member of the NDC legal team Ediji Tamaklo, accompanied by NDC National Communication Officer Sami Jemfi, walked into the Apex Court registry to file the petition.
His lawyers have filed a petition challenging the constitutionality of the 2020 presidential results declaration.
The former president wants the Apex Court to set aside the results as declared by the EC. He alleges analysis of some 32 constituencies shows vote padding in favor of Nana Akufo-Addo. He therefore concludes that the results as declared by the Electoral Commission breaches Ghana's constitution since no candidate obtained more than 50% of the votes cast. He wants the court to set aside the declaration and order a runoff between himself and MPP's Nana Akufo-Addo.
President Akufo-Addo says he's humbled by the renewal of his mandate by Ghanaians for another 4 years. According to him, the Electoral Commission won 51.3% of the votes. And for him, his victory in the December 7 presidential elections places enormous responsibility on him to fulfill the expectations of the people. Receiving the last report of the National Council of States, President Akufo-Addo said he'll be guided by the Constitution and the teachings of the Bible in the discharge of his functions.
I have been humbled by the renewal of my mandate to continue for a second and final term as President of the Republic by a decisive majority of the Ghanaian people. It imposes on me, I think as Mr. Chairman you pointed out, Nana Chairman you pointed out, some very, very serious and grave responsibilities. But on occasions like this, and when events like that occur, the best that you can say and do is to give off your very best, guided by Almighty God and the teachings of Holy Scripture, in my case as a Christian, is to do the best that you can. And that is the assurance that I want to give you and the people of Ghana, that I will continue to discharge my functions to the very best of my abilities. And I hope that in so doing, I will meet and fulfill the expectations of the Ghanaian people. I want to thank you very much for this visit and for the output embodied in this final report, and to wish you all a happy and prosperous New Year.
Let's now hear from the chairman of the council, Nana Oto Sebro.
We note with satisfaction that our suggestions and recommendations have largely been accepted and implemented by your government. The 7th Council is grateful for your cooperation and support, as well as the cooperation of Parliament for the passage of the Council of State Act 2020. This has been a lacuna in the Council since its establishment pursuant to the promulgation of the 1992 Constitution. The Act will promote greater efficiency in the work of the Council through the appointment of its own staff, control of its own budget line, and the regulation of its procedures, among others. For the first time in the history of the Council of State of the Fourth Republic, the Council included a retired Chief Justice. Secondly, the unfortunate demise of 2 appointed members of the Council resulted in their replacement by Your Excellency.
Away from that, 2 persons were injured Wednesday in a clash between rival groups at Hohoe. And there's more in this story.
Hundreds of angry demonstrators, mainly from the outskirts of the Hohoe township, from Sancho Kofi, Likpe, and the Lolobi enclaves poured onto the streets protesting what they say is an infringement on their right to vote.
Because of John Peter Amewu alone, and I can tell you, he will not be a member of parliament because the constituency is not complete and the elections will be redone.
Some of the people of the Hohoe constituency itself, who made an unprecedented decision to elect John Peter Amewu as their next member of parliament, took to the streets to fight back.
By law, as soon as the vote is over, they cannot come back here and come and vote. Are you getting our argument? So the people of Queen, it is not partisan. It is not partisan at all. We are saying that the people of Queen are preventing Likpe, Lolobi, Akpafu, Sanokofi from demonstrating in Hohoe. We will not allow it today. We will not allow it tomorrow. The soldiers can kill all of us in Hohoe. We are ready for them because they are beating our chiefs in Jessica because we are just trying to join the OT. Now they are in OT and now they want to be chopping in Hohoe as well. So they plan everything in Lolobi to come and disturb Hohoe. We will not allow it. It's not partisan. It's not partisan. Those are traditional drafts. We will not be giving to any MPP to come and draft. It is the leaders and the youth who are here to protect their town.
The Energy Minister won a historic 26,952 votes to become the first NPP MP elect in the Volta region, beating the NDC's Professor Margaret Kweku, who garnered 21,821. That win has stoked controversy as over 15,000 residents from the Sancho Kofi area who were prevented from voting for a parliamentary candidate in this year's election say their vote could have changed the result. But heavy security was deployed, scattering the demonstrations.
What we're talking of in Hohoe, you can see it for yourself today. For the sake of only one person ascending to the throne of a member of parliament, these things are happening. Please, I want you to take it to the world, to let the world see that there is no peace in Hohoe. But you see, I always say something. There is no justice without peace.
Ghanaians will from today no longer enjoy the free water service following President Akufo-Addo's directive. Annabella Ohinijan was getting reactions from some people in the capital, Accra.
Government will absorb the water bills for all Ghanaians for the next 3 months, i.e. April, May and June. All water tankers, publicly and privately owned, are also going to be mobilized to ensure the supply of water to all vulnerable communities.
President Akufo-Addo announcing that government will absorb water bills for Ghanaians from May to June 2020. It was part of COVID-19 relief for the people. The intervention was then extended until 31st December 2020. As the program comes to an end, the responses from water consumers have been varied here in the capital.
I wish it would stay because it has helped a lot of us a lot. Like washing craft, I didn't go out and go and pay for it and then fetch the water. I just fetched it free and I'm using it and then everything is cool. So I think it's supposed to stay. Yeah, they don't have to cut it out. We beg them.
But were there days where you had challenges with the flow of the water?
Yes. Yeah, there were days. Like Friday evening, then it will stop coming, and then maybe Monday or Sunday evening, then it will start coming again.
If it help, it's no help. It's no help. Right now, see it right now. You just want it right now. Is it happening all right? See, it's not coming right now. So we're in the city. You know Osu? Yeah, it's Osu, right? I have to take my bag to fetch water in the Osuari.
It has helped us in so many ways. Personally, I'm able to bathe with 2 or 3 buckets of water now. The free water policy has helped us a lot, especially we the aged. The government has done well, but I was hoping they would end it after the new year.
My house is far from where the free pipe is, so normally I don't benefit from, because I can't carry my bucket, or my family cannot carry their bucket and then come and fetch where the water is. So I think they're supposed to do it where it will benefit from everybody.
I didn't enjoy the free water at all. I still buy water because the owner said she feared she will pay when the free water policy ends.
I'll face a problem into no beton. At first, I'll be fetching it at Asundwe, but the free water is just behind my house. So if I cross the road, I can fetch it and then come and do what I want to do with it.
Well, while others say they didn't benefit from the free water policy, those who enjoyed this policy hope it stays a bit longer despite government's decision to end it. The multi-million-dollar question is whether or not this is sustainable in the long term. Should it be extended any further, especially when the Ghana Water Company has complained for years about the huge cost of processing water given activate of illegal small-scale miners. Annabella Ohenijan reports for Joy News.
That's it for the AMUs with me, Mapita CBD. The show continues with Mama V and Gifty. Enjoy.
Well, thanks for still staying with us on the very last day of the year. It's Thursday, the 31st of December, 2020, in the year of our Lord. We hope that you're happy at least to be alive and witnessing this last day in the year 2020. Gifty and myself will be going through the online portals. We'll start from home, myjoyonline.com. We'll do the graphic online, and then the other portals as well.
I wanted to talk about happiness. Yes. Talking about happiness. Sometimes you may not find the things that you wanted to see to make you happy, but you have to be at peace with yourself. I think that this is a very personal story that I'm sharing. Be at peace with yourself. That's how you find happiness. All right, let's jump on to myjoyonline.com before Mamavi analyzes my speech. All right.
I will, by the way.
There is John Dramani Mahama, the presidential candidate for the opposition NDC. Last night, he spoke at 8 p.m. Now, what's he saying? No one won. No one won. Order a second round. Mahama petitions Supreme Court. That story comes with a picture of the former president. We've told you a lot about it. So you can find the full text at myjoyonline.com over there.
Yeah.
And then you can do the video if you want. That's why they playback. Mahama addresses nation after filing petition.
There is a sticking point, though. I think there are many pointers for me in that speech. Here's one that I just directly want to read. Okay. He said, some people have asked me what I hope to gain by challenging the results of this election. Let me tell you, I want, perhaps, the very same thing that my opponent wanted when in 2012 he challenged the results of that election. I want the removal of doubts. I want for all of us to know that our election should be free, fair, and safe, and that we do not have to settle for a process that leaves us confused and with more questions than answers. So, I guess for persons who are still asking questions,
why they're going to court, he's answered it.
He settled it in that speech following the petition yesterday.
And we'll be playing the video for you to, listen to it yourself, just in case you missed it. But yesterday, something very sad happened again regarding the protest. We're talking about the in the Volta region. There was a protest there that turned violent, and they had to call in the military to disperse the crowd. So NDC protesters prevented from entering Hohoe. They wanted to present a petition to the Electoral Commission in Hohoe, and they were prevented. We've given you that story as well in our news. And also, there is a story: Supreme Court sets January 4 to hear case seeking to set aside a Meu injunction. So those are the stories at myjoyonline.com. Bishop Ajanasari meets Baumia and Mahama. A story is also there, and Council of States presents 2016 to 2020 report to Akufo-Addo. Essentially, it includes advice, and the president is not obliged to take that advice. He's, he can just decide what he wants to do with it. Well, graphic online, Mamabi.
Okay, I want the same thing Nana-Addo wanted in 2012 election petitions.
Looks like the punchline for a lot of people.
Yeah, the bit that I read is what the graphic has also quoted in the headline. I know how to concede, but Mahama tells why he's challenging election results. That's also contained in that speech. I'm humbled. Majority of Ghanaians renewed my mandate. That's according to President Akufo-Addo. Mahama asks Supreme Court to annul declaration of Akufo-Addo as president-elect. That's in that petition. And then there are also calls for the chief of staff to be maintained in the next administration. Yesterday there was a cabinet meeting, right? And I was listening to Elton, who was giving a bit of details, and said one of the things the president did to his appointees at the cabinet meeting was to thank them for their service.
Okay.
In this administration that's going to end early next week, or first week in January.
Yeah, first week. Yeah.
Okay, and then apparently they will send them letters, of appreciation. And if after the letter, the thank you letter, if you don't hear your name in the media, then that's it for you.
Well, I won't say it's an automatic thing. You never know. If you don't hear your name, keep praying. I believe in prayer.
There are also some persons who strongly believe that we won't see that many ministers as we've seen in this current administration.
A lot of people have said that we don't need that. And I'm sure that Mr. President has heard that also. City Newsroom.
Yep.
Loss of lives during polls show we are moving backwards. That's where the part that they highlighted from Mr. Mahama's speech yesterday, and also more of those stories. My election petition not born out of a desire for power. Mahama and Council of State congratulates Akufo-Addo on election victory. In the election petition, Mahama asks court to order EC to conduct second election. Also, Mahama files petition at Supreme Court to challenge the 2020 presidential election results. So those are some of the stories on City Newsroom Online. Well, let's move on to BBC. BBC, Ethiopia is still in the news. But well, we're told that the symbol of integration in Ethiopian symbol of integration in Italy has been killed. Well, what happened to her? She fled Ethiopia during the rule of the former regime and has been killed on her farm. It'll be interesting to take a look at that particular story if you're interested in international news, by the way. But well, in Nigeria, there is a search for kidnapped Nigerian bishop. Okay, well, can we take a look at that?
He still hasn't been found.
Yeah.
He was kidnapped with his wife, I remember. It's the same story.
Well, let's click on that story, take a look at what the details are. And also some other stories out there. We'll come back to it. Okay. Well, we're hoping to see the Nigerian story, but there it is.
Okay, so whilst we get...
Okay, all right. So, yeah, there it is. The story. Police in Nigeria have reportedly deployed special team in their search for Catholic Bishop Moses Chikwe, who was kidnapped by armed men on Sunday in Owerri, the capital of Imo State in the east of the country. Local media reports say his car and investments were abandoned near the Assumpta Cathedral. Vatican Radio said that the priests had become kidnapped targets.
So this is different from the other one.
Yeah, it looks like it's really sad.
That was a pastor and the wife.
Yeah. I pray that they are found. I pray that the captors, have a change of heart as we end the year, and they'll just release him. Or if it's ransom they're seeking, that, we find a way around it. All right, notable African deaths of 2020.
Yeah.
From jazz legends to football heroes. So BBC puts together a list of those people.
10 of those.
Yeah, interesting. So maybe we can look at the names. No?
I think the first one I remember, Papa Diop.
Papa Diop.
Yeah.
42. He's a Senegalese footballer who died in November after a long illness. feted for his performance in 2002 World Cup, where he scored the team's winning goal against France, and wants to see a Senegal. Okay, all right, let's look at the next person in science. Dita Ramji, 63, world-renowned Ugandan-born South African scientist, died of COVID-19.
Yeah, and this is a person, I think I remember at the time when the death came, I went to read on
about her.
And she had done a lot of research in HIV/AIDS.
Oh.
And to think that it was a pandemic, you know, another virus
yes,
that took her life. That was really, really sad.
Yeah, it was indeed. It was indeed. All right, so you can go on the website, take a look at those. Well, let's see the next one. Oh, Manu Dibando, she also died from COVID-19. I think he was one of the earliest people to die. He was 86 at least, so he lived his life. The Cameroonian saxophonist died in March, and I love people who play saxophone. It's so romantic. He died during the COVID-19 when it first started. Richard Maponya, 99, yeah, lived his life almost 100. God blessed him enough. The entrepreneur died in January. He was known as the father of black retail in South Africa, defying apartheid restriction to build up his business empire. I mean, these are people that you can individually read about to inspire you.
Yeah.
Hawa Abdi, 73, Somali doctor, human rights activist, also died, was known as the Mother Teresa of Somalia. Okay, all right. So we can call it a wrap after this. Daniel Arap Moy, 95. Yeah, I mean, they've all lived their lives.
That's a very famous name. You probably would have heard it growing up in the news.
Yeah, yeah.
Daniel
Well,
Arap Moy.
May God keep their souls as we move on to 2021. Mama V, CNN for you.
Yeah, here we go. Trump cutting short vacation ahead of certification votes. And it says the U.S. president is expected to return to Washington ahead of a Republican plan to disrupt certification of Biden's win. They are still on this issue.
Donald Trump looks serious about his
so the
position.
GOP senator to delay affirming Biden's victory by forcing votes on electoral college results. So the courts didn't work for them.
Yeah, I mean, he's exploring his options. He's exploring his options, so. Yeah.
All right. Neither human rights concerns nor U.S. disapproval could stop the EU-China trade deal. Europe strikes major investment deal with China despite U.S. concerns. And then China approves Sinopharm COVID-19 vaccine. UK will be able to get out of this by the spring. Minister says it has to do with COVID. U.S. hits record for daily COVID-19 deaths. So countries setting record not for a good reason, but all because of COVID-19. U.S. flies B-52 bombers to Middle East.
Wow.
Okay, so Trump was briefed that China sought to pay non-state actors to attack U.S. forces. Girlfriend of Nashville bomber told police in 2019 he was building explosives in an RV.
And what did the police do about it? That's always the question that comes up when people blow the whistle like this. They're sometimes not even taken seriously. Okay.
True. All right, so there are plenty stories related to the U.S. if you're interested in the U.S. politics and the other issues, I guess. You can go to their website as well. There's one story reported by the BBC or reported on the BBC that I was excited about. Are you into Formula One?
No, not really. Although, I mean, I am always amazed at how people can do that sport. But I don't think I'll do it. What's up?
So Lewis Hamilton is that guy who is a world champion. He sets records now. And I am fascinated by the way they describe him. So depending on how well he's doing, he's either the British... the British racer, or they introduce him as a black British whatever. Oh, wow. But the good news is he's been knighted by the Queen.
Oh, so the British Formula One driver has been knighted.
Exactly.
By Her Majesty.
Yes, ma'am.
Oh, right. Congratulations to him wherever he is. Al Jazeera, my favorite.
Portal?
International
portal.
Yeah. So how 2020 left China diplomatically. It looks like an analytical piece that tells you what China looked like by the end of 2020 diplomatically. I think it's a story a feature you'd want to take your time and read. And Trump, McConnell division grows as Senate poised to override veto. At least 26 killed, dozens wounded in Yemen airport attack. UK MPs approve EU trade agreement, paving way for orderly Brexit. Also, Vietnamese pick up the pieces after 2020's relentless storms, and some other stories out there. There are reports about the COVID-19. U.S. bombers flying over the Gulf amid tensions with Iran. The fear is that this could spark another, not just the tension, but it probably would, let me not be the one who said it. Anyway, so like Mama V said, if you're interested in the U.S. politics, get to Al Jazeera, take a look at the stories there. We've given you the highlights. We'll move on from there.
Yep. Okay. Well, I guess this is where we probably have to wrap up, but maybe, Gifty, just before it's the last, because it's the last day, any headline that caught your attention this year? Maybe that's one of the questions we should be putting out to our viewers. Any headline? And I know when we begin to ask this kind of question in 2020, you hear COVID-19, 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 kind of like crowds every other thing that has happened from the beginning of the year.
It does. COVID-19 is a very strong story. It's a very, it's a story that has so many angles, so many tentacles, like it spreads across every fabric of our society. You engaged
a doctor yesterday on Strong and Sassy on Joy FM, and she was telling you a very personal story.
Yes, she did. She's one of the doctors at the UGMC. And she was telling us how people were dying, and she indicated that there are times that even now that she sleeps and she has nightmares. She said there was this particular man who died, and she dreamt that the man was calling out to her and saying, "Doctor, I'm dying. Doctor, I'm dying. What are you doing to help me?" And it was very emotional. And he talks about how sometimes she does like 12 hours or sometimes 24 hours shifts and she gets home and she's drained, and sometimes her mom has to carry her from the door into the house, and so we gave some shout outs to all mothers and wives and sisters, whoever is helping or supporting people at the front lines. But to know that to see someone die, knowing that there is something you could have done to help them, and maybe you lack the resources or you just couldn't save them, and they die, and then you end up seeing them in your dreams. I think that is very traumatic.
That bit about the person who has passed on, who is appearing in your dreams, who is calling on you as a doctor and asking you,
what are you doing to save me?
I
think that we've celebrated the health workers, but we can do more. We can do more. I mean, to live with seeing people die every day. See, and she was talking about COVID-19. She said she was at the ICU at Kolebu before COVID-19, and then she came to UGMC. And she has seen people dying. But with COVID, the deaths were back to back, back to back. Some of the people, they come and they're going to die. They themselves know they're going to die. Sometimes she was saying that I'm way below the chain. So for the doctor, the big men, the seniors who have to make their decision, who gets to be on the ventilator, who should we pay more attention to, who is dying, who can we just let go?
Imagine what they're going through.
It's not easy. So the doctors, I think COVID-19 remains our biggest story in 2020. And for the doctors, the nurses, everybody who has been through this, you're going to live with the trauma. So we will sit here and talk about it all day. But you are the ones living with the trauma. So our heart goes out to you. And I'm sending you all a big hug, if it means anything at all.
So those who drive the ambulances, the first point of call, those who are called the first time, who see these patients who are not necessarily doctors, but who also help her. Listen, we will talk a lot more about the big headlines in 2020 a bit later on here on our show. We'll also bring you a playback of John Dramani Mahama's address yesterday, and then we'll be speaking to one of his legal team members on the show. We'll also be talking to a political scientist as we understand the speech again and where we are with this whole petition now to the Supreme Court. We've got sports coming up. Right after this, we'll come back and dig into our issues. Your comments are still welcome, so keep sending them through.
Hello, good morning and welcome to the last AM Sports of the year 2020. It's been an incredible year in terms of sports. Well, we saw a lot of resilience from our own sports, football and all that. Whilst COVID-19 was around, there was perseverance and we still had our sports back. And today we'll be starting off with the Ghana Premier League and focusing on the surprise story of 2020. Now, the team is Bechem United and their story is quite simple. They would be ending the year on top of the Ghana Premier League table. And it's not something so familiar with a lot of people who follow the Ghana Premier League, knowing that there are giants, Asante Kotoko and Hartefolk still around, with the like of how, Ashko and Diana all lacking. After 6 games, it's Bechem United who are top of the table, and they're unbeaten. The only team so far without tasting defeat in the Ghana Premier League this season. And joining me this morning via phone is Kweku Danso, who's the coach of Bechem United, who are doing wonders this season. Hi, Kweku Danso. It's a pleasure to have you here this season. First off, your performance this season, is this something that you expected or is also taking you by surprise?
No. In fact, we really planned, and it was our objective to end the season within the top 4. So it's a plan. It's a plan something. It's not just taking us by surprise.
You speak of finishing in the top 4. Now, you've seen where your team sits after 6 games, and that's top of the table. Do you think going forward that objective could possibly change to possible title contenders?
Yes, because even we are planning to add some few players to our team, making it stronger than what we have now. So, as I said, Bechem United, we have a target, and then we are sure of reaching that target by the close of the season.
Now, let's come to your performance this year. Remember, we already had a season that was truncated, and in that season, we did see Bechem United finishing 8th after 15 games with 22 points. So far, you've played 6 games and you have 14 points. Certainly, something is going well for Bechem United, especially this year. What would you describe as the game changer? What decisions have you taken that we've seen start to bear fruit at Bechem United?
Please come again. I'm in a car, so I can't get you well.
Yeah, I was asking about Bechem United and how your performances from last season saw you finish 8th in the truncated season. And now you've gone a step further and you are currently on top of the Ghana Premier League title. Okay. What have you been doing differently? How come you've improved so much over the past year?
Yeah, I must say that it's just commitment from the players and then the technical team. And also, always we've been motivated by the management. And I think all this together is helping the team to perform well. And as I said, determination reigns supreme in the Bechem United camp.
Now, quickly before you go, up next is a Herculean task against one of Ghana's great giants, and that's Accra Hartefolk. They have renewed energy under their new coach, Costa Papic. The last game, they came from behind to beat Ken Faisal by 2-1. What should we expect in that game?
Yeah, last season, I must say that just ended truncated league. They beat us 3-2 in Accra. So this time around, we have prepared and we're determined to turn the tables. We know that it's not going to be easy, but we believe in ourselves. We have that can-do spirit, and we think that this time around we are going to beat Accra also.
Okay, all right. Thank you very much, Coach, for joining us this morning. And that's Kweku Danso. He's the coach of Bechem United, and we wanted to talk a bit about the Ghana Premier League. So we chose Bechem United. They're the story of 2020.
And that's former President John Dramani Mahama addressing The Nation yesterday. He made reference to the filing of that petition by his lawyers. One of his legal team members joins us for a conversation. Godwin Edijit Tamaklo joins us via phone. A very good morning to you, sir. Thank you so much for your time here on the AM show.
Good morning.
Okay.
And good morning, Mama B.
Great.
I think ordinarily I should be saying indeed.
Yeah, thank you. And a happy new year. I mean, it's the last day in 2020. We have come very far. And so I have to say happy new year to you.
Thank you. And I quickly need to say that, 2020 has been quite an interesting and unique year with all the COVID uncertainties and what have you. But ultimately, we have more reason to be grateful to the Almighty God.
Absolutely. Great. All right. So, Ediji, yesterday you filed a petition on behalf of John Dramani Mahama. There are fallouts of it, and I'm sure that you've monitored the commentary. I just want us to move forward with this. There were some errors that were identified, and various legal practitioners spoke about it. So on the back of what has come up, I want you to specifically speak to those issues that were identified as errors.
So I think I saw what had to do with, I think, relief F, which had to do with a misdescription related to the first or second respondents. And legally speaking, anybody who had had any sound legal training will tell you that that's what we usually, as lawyers, will call clerical error. It's like a judge writing a judgment and saying first defendant instead of second defendant. All you do is in open court, you just tell the judge relief, and then you sign by writ, and then you just do the proper decision. That's all. So in terms of the competence or otherwise of the petition, nobody has raised any question whatsoever about the competence of the petition that has been filed.
But you can understand why people are critical about this, even though it is not as significant to the matter itself?
No, it's of no distance bearing to the grounds for a petition. The petition spells out what it should contain. So far, nobody has said that there's something that a petition ought to contain in accordance with the constitutional instruments governing petitions that we did not do.
So it's not
for me. For me, that's the most important thing.
Okay. Well,
usually we lawyers, you see, we have what we call fatal and non-fatal errors, quote unquote.
But you see, Edwin, not all of us are lawyers. That's your legal language. People are just looking at the surface of it and how you're holding the Electoral Commission to account when it comes to mistakes. And so people were not expecting errors at all.
No. The work of the Electoral Commission is governed by the Constitution. For instance, Article 63 provides who a president should be. And it said the president should be the president elected based on valid vote cast, not total votes. That's the constitutional threshold. So if you do any other thing, that wrong sins against the Constitution itself, and not like saying first or second respondent. They are two different things. You can't equate the two.
I want us to move on, though. This was because it raised some.
No, but like I pointed out,
talked about it. So.
I mean, this what you call it, a criticism well taken. But I'm saying that it is something that does not go to the root of what we have found.
Adrian, there was also another point, another issue that I also did realize, because after the declaration, the conversation was about the fact that the NDC won the elections. But with what you presented to the court, we see that you're asking for a possible rerun and you're not holding yourself as winners of the election.
We've alternated several reliefs. If you look at our relief, they are about F, A, B, C, D, E, F. You need to go and look at the implication of each one of the reliefs if so granted. If you are saying that the presidential election instrument should be set aside, what is the net effect of that? Would there be a president declared? No. But I don't want to go into the merits because I'm also a lawyer on record. You don't want to appear as doing your case even before panelists put together.
Yeah, we appreciate that. I guess, for ordinary persons who've been following the conversation keenly,
they will have the opportunity of watching
a declaration that John Mahama won the election.
The ordinary people will have the opportunity to watch everything on national television as the case rolls, and they'll get to appreciate the issues properly as we begin to proceed.
Is it definite that the case will be heard?
The rules require a hearing. That CI 99 requires a hearing. That after this is filed, what we have filed within a certain number of days, the named respondents are supposed to file their answer to the petition. Once they are done, there's what we call case management. The parties, their lawyers, meet and will case manage the matter. After that, the date will be set down for hearing. Witness statements will be filed. Cross-examination will be done. And the day will be fixed for judgment.
I want you to stay with me a while longer because the NPP has issued a statement. I'm not sure if you've seen or read it.
Is it the one by Wabian someone?
Exactly. But for my viewers, I want them to also appreciate the content of this. So I'm just going to read out portions of that. It says the New Patriotic Party has taken notice of the filing of an election petition by John Dramani Mahama challenging the declaration of Nana Addo Dankwa Akufo-Addo as validly elected and duly declared President-elect of the Republic of Ghana. Indeed, the responsible, appropriate, and democratic means of determining election dispute is by resort to the courts. Better still, the process of filing a petition in court ought to be put to bed the many cases of intimidation, threats, and acts of violence, and arson and destruction of property that have been the preferred path of the NDC. The MPP is assured that the 7th December 2020 elections was won fair and square. Indeed, the evidence presented by the NDC has only reassured the people of Ghana that Nana Addo Dankwa Akufo-Addo won the elections. The fact of transparency of the general elections was also resoundingly affirmed by the myriad of local and international observers that participated in the electoral process. I'll end it here, but since you know the person who signed it, you've already seen it.
Mama V, I think that with the little that you've read and what I've read the 3-page release. I quickly need to thank the good people of Adenta for doing away with this reckless director of communication of the NPP. Mama V, in that statement, is the director of communication of the NPP accused the NDC directly of arson. In any serious and civilized society, what you do is you invite such a reckless lawyer to give evidence of any arson attack by the NDC. You don't write a statement, accuse the largest opposition party, the party that is noted for building this nation, and you accuse it of arson without any evidence, a political party whose members, in the midst of all of this, have conducted themselves with so much dignity. The NPP's record is what happened in 2012. Ask your own colleague in multimedia. What happened to them at Obra Sport? As the NDC conducted itself, what violence have we done after this declaration?
Do you intend taking them on beyond the comments
that
you're making?
What I'm saying, you just read a statement and it's on air. So give me the opportunity to say that, first of all, the statement you read, was there any evidence of arson provided, violence provided, intimidation provided? Nothing whatsoever. And the person who issued this statement is supposed to be a lawyer and until today, an MP. I cannot help but to thank the good people of Adenta that this cancer has been taken, this tumor has been taken off and thrown into the dustbin. What the people of Adenta did is like a chemotherapy. I mean, like seriously, if in this country were to be any serious country where the police are independent, you have to invite someone. Where is it? Because arson is a crime. So if you accuse Edwige of murder, the police ought to be calling you to provide evidence of the dead body.
But you can also bring the attention of the police to the statement, can't you, as a party and also as a member of the legal team?
With the greatest respect to you and your viewers, with the greatest respect, you don't accuse me of stealing and say, if you have not stolen, come go to court. I mean, where is this done? Mama V, there's a certain threshold of responsibility. You say, Edwige, I'm accusing you of arson because this building, this is how you organize A, B, C, D, or you yourself, this is what you did. You have provided a threshold basis for which you can accuse me. You don't do that. And Mama V, you are saying that we can do what?
It's a suggestion, Edwige.
I agree.
When somebody puts a certain tag on you and the police hasn't acted, so maybe they haven't taken notice of it.
But that is why I'm saying that the first step is that the people of Adenta have done a surgery where they have removed this tumor of a lawyer, Yabuamia Samoa, from our parliament. Because this level of irresponsibility, you won't have it in any decent or serious democracy where a member of parliament can accuse a political party of arson.
So I'm saying, Edwige,
like that.
Beyond you condemning and being dissatisfied, showing your the fact that you're dissatisfied with the choice of words and the accusations in that statement, would you draw the attention of the police to that?
No, we have become clear in our mind that the nature of the police that we have today, especially the top brass of the Ghana police, they are not interested in fair policing. They are interested in perpetuating a certain regime agenda.
Why do you say that?
Oh, Mama V, we're in this country, with respect to you, where a sitting NPP MP fired live ammunition at a voter registration center. She's at home. She had not been brought before any court. She had not been brought. But innocent NDC members going on street protests have been arraigned in various courts in this country. That's how the police have conducted the affairs.
But if they don't have a case, how do they go to court?
Oh, so the MP who sat on your own Adom FM and said she was the one who fired the gun at the registration center. At registration, are we not just going for our fingerprints and others to be captured? Is it a Mexican gunfight? Okay? And she's at home. That is how policing has been done under this regime.
So because of that,
and not only that, you recall not long ago, a group of persons, even in the midst of COVID, said they were going to do some demonstration in Chebi or so. The police allowed them. Today, the police are going to court ex parte to secure injunction against who will be demonstrators, NDC demonstrators.
You know, it's a good thing that you've brought that up. Are you doing anything about that legally as well? Because you have an opportunity.
No, that is, you see, that is why I'm saying that some of the things that are happening, they are taking this country back, regrettably, to 1979. I never in my life thought that we'll come to a day where we'll even have the remotest sense of our dark days. But the regrettable thing is that today, these things have become new normals. New normals. And look, Marvi, I recall how, and I think you even did that interview with Petition about the Let My Vote Count, about the High Court judge saying that you can no longer do ex parte injunction against demonstrators who have notified the police. You need to serve them, let them come to court, let them come and say, file the affidavit, so that the judge will have the benefit of two opposing affidavits. In fact, a court of appeal judge who sat as an additional high court judge, says the NSAJ, even made a point that it is so convenient for the police to put before a court misleading affidavit just to get the court to grant them ex parte injunction. So appropriately file it on notice so that all of you will put your facts before a judge, and then the judge will come. In fact, there is a multimedia. I can send it to you immediately after this interview. And if I'm not mistaken, you granted that interview to Bediatu because he acted as lawyer for the Let My Vote Count people. Today,
we'll try, going back. We'll try and go back. But Edichi, can you address the issue of, do you intend doing anything legally about that?
Let the time goes.
Okay.
These are constitutional
Just
matters.
one more thing. One more thing before we wrap up, though. So the former president did indicate that one of the reasons he's going to court is to remove any sort of doubts. Are you open to this could go? You're a lawyer, so when you go to court, you know that you could win or lose. Win or lose, would the doubts have been removed?
So, you know, even when we go to court and a judgment is given, we always have the opportunity of appealing. An appeal is basically expression of dissatisfaction and a criticism of a judgment. So let the time come, and we will then advise ourselves appropriately.
So even before the case is heard, you're thinking of a review possibly after judgment?
No. What I'm saying is that it's based on the question you asked. Then I said it is too early day for an answer to that question. You recall in the 2012 petition, after everything, you heard what Mr. Kupado said, that he accepts the verdict of the court, but he disagrees. You remember? Mm-hmm. You recall?
So that's your position too?
No, I'm saying that you recall that event happening.
Of course I do.
So that time comes, and then we'll take it up from there.
Okay, well, then we'll leave it here. I thank you so much for your time and the very best with this petition.
And Happy New Year in advance.
Great, thank you very much. That's Godwin Edujit Tamaklo, a member of the NDC legal team. When we come back, we're talking joy learning at 1. Joy learning is 1 already, like unbelievable. And I remember when joy learning was first launched and then the COVID came and we all realized the importance of that platform. We're talking to our colleague about joy learning. What's new about it? How far have we come? Stay with us. Yeah, we're most grateful to Joy Learning for the platform. Nana Esiedu is the channel coordinator. She joins me. Congratulations. Happy anniversary.
Thank you very much, and thanks for having me here.
Don't you look older than one?
We do.
But it sounds like we've been with Joy Learning like forever, even beyond a year.
I mean, together. We are growing together, can't you see? Because I think a year ago, I was with you here.
Yes.
Trying to launch the channel.
Exactly. And then I think it came also at the right time.
Yes, at the right time, and because we planned ahead. Multimedia is always ahead of time. So just around this time, I remember we were thinking about some students who were home due to the double track system. But let me just allow you to do that.
No, go ahead. I love to hear it. So, because you are thinking about double track, not even COVID, because it was this year that COVID came.
Yes, so the story started during the time that senior high school had been ballooned. The numbers were increased, and the students, there was the introduction of the double track system. So some students were home whilst others were studying. We thought of the way things were going, and we decided to introduce a platform that the students can benefit as well. But it didn't start with that. Joy Learning actually started, it came through an Educare Fund, an educational trust fund, solely dedicated for students who had gained admission to senior high school but couldn't afford to pay their fees. So between 2008 to 2014, basically that is what the fund was doing, was catering for such students who couldn't afford to pay their fees in senior high school. And then we wanted to expand the fund into taking care of more students. We needed a system or a platform that could take care of a multitude of students. And then we thought of introducing an educational platform that is Joy Learning. So that is how Joy Learning came into place. And for some time now, since last year, since it was launched, it has been very impactful. If you see the lives of students and the testimonies some parents are sharing, instead of just right after we launched the channel, COVID-19 also sets in. So it was like a dream come true for some parents, a lot of parents who knew that their children would be wondering about and not knowing how to engage them at home. We made education very, very secured. We made it convenient for the lives of students who had no hope.
Yeah, because the truth is, how many can get online and do the online
how many
learning?
Can afford?
It's a very difficult process. Listen, even if you have a computer or a laptop, whatever, you need a generator.
You do.
Yes.
You do.
And parents are often not home. And even for children, some people, and I've engaged children on this show several times, it doesn't really work for a lot of them. So
I really get you. I remember a story that was was announced on our platform, Joy News platform, about some students who were struggling to have access to internet, who were trying to study in front of they had to walk to places to get maybe free Wi-Fi. So you find them standing in front of some homes and other places. And just around the time that the channel came into place, you barely see such students, because instead of struggling to find a place to have access to internet, you have TV. You only have to buy the multi-TV digibox, and there's free TV for you every day for Joy Learning. And you know that we've been actually airing lessons ever since we started. We started with the senior high school lessons, and then when COVID also took over, we decided that we needed to expand it to meet other students, especially the junior high students. And all of them, we had final year students too as parts of them. So the channel really helped, because we had to introduce a show called Revision Show. That's actually catered for the final years, the senior high school final year students.
Those who are going to write the exam.
Those who are going to write. So for about 5 months to the final day of their exams, they had the opportunity to interact directly with the TV teacher. they had the opportunity to call in. We had Zoom sessions and we had call-in sessions, phone sessions that they could call in and ask questions. We were solving final, WASI examiners past school questions with them. And it took a while, and it really benefited them.
So we've come a very long way.
A very long way.
So where are we today with Joy Learning?
So today we are celebrating Joy Learning at 1. We are celebrating the impact the channel has made in the lives of people. We are celebrating the impact that's the success story of Joy Learning. If we see the results of WASI now, you heard the results of the WASI study the first time ever. They did, the result was very impressive. So we are celebrating that impact that we have done in like since Joy Learning. We initiated the idea of Joy Learning.
So what is on the channel today? And when I say today, I don't mean today, Thursday, but these days, what would we find on the channel?
Okay, so for our anniversary plans, we have a special edition of almost all our television concepts and then our social media concepts as well. We're going to start with our essay competition. We are going to introduce a special anniversary topic for the students to write on. And that particular competition is basically on Facebook. Whilst we're engaging them on TV, we also want to engage them on every platform. So we chose to use social media as a basis to reach students at home. So we have a competition that we are going to share the topics very soon. And then we also have a Rock Your Anniversary Cloth edition of one of our social media concepts.
Okay.
You wear your anniversary cloth, and then wherever you wear, you can take a picture, send it to us, so we can share our brand to you. We are giving out souvenirs. We are doing a lot of activations.
Okay.
We are sharing our Joy brand. We want to share the Joy Learning brand everywhere, no matter where you are in Ghana, so you can have a share of the Joy Learning cake.
Nice.
And then we also doing riddles. We have a concept called Trivia Riddles, also done on social media. We're going to have an anniversary version of the Trivia Riddles.
Okay.
We send mind-boggling riddles, questions for people to solve, and then we give out souvenirs for them. So
nice.
That's basically what we are going to do this year coming. And also we have plans to expand Joy Learning.
Okay.
We are planning to introduce the primary section and then the Montessori.
Oh.
We want to involve all of them. But before we do that, we are open now, because every success story, there are challenges. So financial challenges, yes, but it's a fund we have. It's a dedicated fund for us to take care of students. So now we are open to CSOs, we are open to corporate organizations who have interest in educational content.
Great.
You can come, you can raise, you can fund this project, and then you can support this worthy cause. Okay, so is there a number, just before we wrap up, is there a number that you're going to put up? Yes, we can. If you are interested in funding Joy Learning, you can call 0302 211-688, and then you ask to speak to the Joy Learning channel manager. We are always here to talk to you. Okay. I know that just before you go, we've also had some great partners through this 1 year. Yeah, sure. So any shouts? Yes. So I want to take this opportunity to say a very big thank you to our partners, SES, Wolo, and then KNET. And then we also have new partners who are supporting us, who have supported us with the JHS content. And even now, we have First Class TV, and then now we have Care Guide Schools Limited. Okay. We want to say a very big thank you to all of them as well. Okay. Well, big as Wolo, because we've come a long way with you. Sure, all right. So Nana, people are still open to collaborate, because we're asking for people who want to fund the Joy Learning platform, and then also people who have content that they want to share with us and have conversations. Yes. They can also still call the number. They can call that same number. Okay. We are open to doing a good business with them. Okay. Yeah. So for all interested audience to reach us, we have platforms on social media too. They can follow us on Joy Learning TV, on Instagram, Twitter, and then Facebook. And now we have a YouTube channel solely for Joy Learning. We have our lessons uploaded there. So if you watch, after watching TV and you want access to more of our lessons, you can visit our YouTube channel, Joy Learning TV, and subscribe to it.
All right. You're looking good as you've turned 1.
Yeah.
I don't know any 1-year-old who looks like you. Hey. But where is the cake?
Hey, I'll bring it. Don't worry. That one is a big surprise.
So it's an anniversary, really. If your child benefits or in any way you benefit from the channel, you can reach out also on social media and let us know. Nana, thank you so much.
You're welcome.
Enjoy your birthday today.
Thank you.
When we come back, it's another important conversation here on the show. The fact that clearing charges of goods will increase by 20%. If this is really true, I don't know what your reaction will be. But the boss of the Ghana Standards Authority will join us as he clarifies these matters. And also, will there really be a 20% increment in the clearing charges? All that coming up here on the show. Stay with us.
You're still watching the AM show with me, Mama View. Did I just mention my name as Mama V? Okay. With me, Gifty and and Mama View Uswa. We've been doing this since 6 a.m. So we've talked about the NDC. We've talked about what the presidential candidate, John Dramani Mahama, wants to do. Of course, you've heard him say it himself. He's spoken to their lawyers. We've also spoken about Joy Learning. Now we want to talk about the port charges. I told you earlier when we started today, this morning, that I had to clear some a vehicle, and I was dumbfounded the amount that I had to pay. Well, we've been hearing since yesterday that the charge of clearing goods at the port will increase by 20%. And that story has been attributed to the Ghana Standards Authority. Well, I have heard of that institution right here in the studio, Professor Dodu, to find out if this is true. If it is, what went into it? Prof, you're welcome. Merry Christmas.
Many happy returns and Happy New Year, Afishepa.
Yeah, I think it's been a long time since we heard of you. Looks like you're concentrating on your job at the Ghana Standards Authority.
I have been quiet, yeah.
Why?
I had so many things needed to fix the internal issues before coming public.
Okay.
But you see more of me.
All right.
Inshallah.
So let's talk about this story. You were just telling me behind the scenes that before we came on air, this story isn't true.
I would like to be categorical.
Okay.
100% categorical. Import duties have not been increased. Let me repeat it slowly.
Okay.
There have been no increase in import duties. And I would actually challenge anyone who claims or says there have been import duties. But I can give you the context which has led to this story. But it's so important to be absolutely categorical.
Okay.
For starters, the Ghana Standards Authority cannot and does not levy import duties at the ports. It's the duty of Parliament by law.
Okay.
Charges cannot be flown in as sorties. It's the duty of Parliament, and Parliament has not. So what happened was that in 2019 December, the Standards Authority was charged to implement fees and charges for 8 services. And if you permit, I can read the letter to you, because I think that will throw some light on why this noise has come about, unfortunately.
So you were charged to put in some charges for your services as Ghana Standards Authority.
Thank you very much.
Okay.
And they were not increases. In fact, several of them were decreases.
Let's pull up that story.
So this is a letter from the Ministry of Finance, dated 31st December. Review of fees and charges. Reference is made to the proposals for review of fees and charges collected by Ghana Standards Authority for the delivery of goods and services as follows. So basically, every agency, if you want to increase or reduce your charges, Parliament does it. So you go to the Ministry of Finance, they put it out. This is different from the 1% import duty charged by law under the Import and Export Act. And that is a law of Parliament and only Parliament. Not even the executive, not even the president can touch that.
Okay. So, but there are some extra costs.
There are no extra costs. So I will read what the letter states, and I think that is where the ambiguity came in. So the letter stated, approval has been granted for the upward review of the fees as follows. The first statement said 20% of existing fees and charges. Introduction of new fees and charges. Accordingly, the approved fees, Appendix 1, were provided and laid in Parliament. The LI came into effect following 21 days on 22nd November. The purpose of this letter from the Ministry of Finance, signed by the Deputy Minister, is to request the Ghana Standards Authority to take the necessary steps to implement the fees as approved. But let me give you some details of the fees. Because
so what I want to understand is there are some extra charges for consumers to pay.
No. So let me read. The following fees have remained the same and remain the same. Shopping malls and supermarkets, cement products. This is just the registration fee. Some are as low as 500 cedis for a year for the services undertaken. You know, people are confusing that with the import duties and other things. So the following categories have not changed. Shopping malls and supermarkets, cement products, iron rods, printing equipment, roofing materials, lubricants, arms and ammunition, mining equipment. The following have been reduced. Petroleum exploration equipment from 10 to 5,000, tobacco products from 10 to 5, gaming items. The following have been increased by 20%. Office equipment, floor tiles from 1,000 cedis to 2,000 cedis a year, and then sanitary wares, and then cell phones, and then textiles. And textiles, there was a reason for it. The focus is to ensure that we increase. And for textiles imported, the once a year charge moved from 500 cedis to 2,000.
From 500 cedis to 2,000?
For once a year, for importers. Okay. Not for consumers and this thing. We are talking about commercial.
I'm going to come there, but I don't want to get confused. Sure. And it looks like if I'm not careful, I will be confused. And if that happens, it's not good for my viewers. Now, this is a story on myjoyonline.com. I'm just going to quote a part of it, which quotes a letter that you wrote to freight forwarders.
To all importers.
All right. So it says, we bring to the attention of your institution that effective January 1, 2020, the Standards Authority will start the implementation of its new fees and charges. Approval for the fees and charges was given by Parliament in August 2019 for implementation in the year 2020. Its implementation was, however, delayed. To this end, the registration of importers per product group has increased by 20% for the annual payment. What this means is that shopping malls and supermarkets are now to register a fee of 20,000 cedis for their yearly product group. So there's certainly an increase right there.
Well, I think all shopping malls can tell you what they've been paying from 2019 January till now. It remains 20%. I mean, it remains the same amount. It has not changed. So what I was explaining to you is that there are two categories of charges. There is the import duties, which have not changed. And the heading of the story was actually very misleading. Because import charges, it started on Ghana Online or my GH Online, and it's come to joy. Import duties have not increased. The prices of GSA services, goods and services, have been varied. Some have come down, some have gone up, even more than the 20%, and several have remained the same. That is the fact, and all importers out there can bear testimony to this.
So certainly some items or some services, as you're saying, have gone up, and you were just explaining some of them to us. There's something that has jumped from 500 cedis to 2,000 cedis. I mean, what a growth.
I think I'll be pleased if you would also ask why some things have reduced by as much as 50%.
But let's start with the ones that have gone up, because that's our concern. We're in COVID, people have lost their jobs, people have lost their relationships. So at this point, I think the focus of everybody is which one am I going to pay more for? So let's deal with that one. We'll come to the ones that...
Okay, let me give you the ones. I mean, I'll use textiles as an example. There's no interest in encouraging the import of textiles materials. We want to boost domestic growth of the textile industry. That is not in doubt for anybody. And indeed, nobody would say that as a country, with our Akosombo and other textiles going down, you want to facilitate more import of textiles. It's not going to work. We need to create jobs here. We need to pursue an agenda of self-reliance. In COVID times, we had to rely on ourselves to produce the fabrics we needed to create the nose mask. Nobody came to our aid as a country, and we cannot and will not. Really, it becomes careless. But if you take things like exploration, it's fallen by 50%.
Okay,
because
so
what do you want
apart
to do?
from the textiles, and it makes sense that one of the reasons is to demotivate people from importing textiles because we produce some here. And we've seen how cheap textiles, have flooded our markets, and people have complained about that as well. So that is a motivation behind increasing the importation of charges for importation of textiles, right?
For GSA, we went across board because ideally, every year, you expect prices to move up in line with inflation.
Okay.
For maybe 8 years, none of the prices have changed. So normally, what do? You approach the Ministry of Finance and say, we want to charge for our services. And Finance will look at it and say, no, we don't want to put a burden on consumers. In so doing, actually, a lot of our fees are below cost. Several.
I get the below cost thing, and that is
what I mean
something.
Is out of 100 fees, about 90% are below cost.
I get it. I think you're creating the balance here for us to see that it's not everything that has gone up, but I want us to focus on the ones that have gone up. Textiles, you're giving us a great example. Which other things have gone up by
Floor
charges?
tiles. I'm just giving samples.
Yes.
Floor tiles
have gone up
from 1,000 to 2,000 cities a year.
From 1,000 to 2,000 cities
per year.
Okay.
Per importer. Sanitary wares. I don't even know what that. I mean, when you look in the HS codes.
Yeah, I mean, I'm sure those who import, toilet seats, etc., bath stuffs, etc. I'm sure those are okay. So
and then stationery.
So that's moved from.
These is just a sampling. I just want to be.
Yeah. So some of these things have moved up. Why? You gave me a reason why textiles, for example, those who import textiles will have to pay more. Why do people have to pay more for, the bathroom things that, the sanitary things that
for tiles, as you are aware, in the Western region now we have the capacity to produce. Indeed, I must say that the GSA at the time would have wished most of our fees to be in line with inflation, but we were shut down by our bosses, which is fine, because every agency wants to get money to be able to do its job. But Parliament has a balance between what is fair to you and what is most important, what is fair to the consumer. Because any charge to businesses somehow will find its way to the consumers. And we are talking about commercial importers.
Yeah, and even the ones that you have just done, which you say is not across the board, it will still come to consumers because already the freight forwarders have indicated that if they have to pay more, for example, for the imports, for the services, whatever it is, as you have explained it, then they are going to pass it on to the consumer.
Will they also reduce their prices for those areas where fees have come down?
I guess that's where the Ghana Standards Authority comes in. How will you ensure that that happens?
We cannot do that. We do not have the mandate to police prices. Okay. What we would say is that we would wish that every year, in line with inflation, the cost of our goods and services will go up. But I believe, seriously, that GIF acted in poor taste because it's their letter that went viral, that we were charging this, and importantly, to state that import duty is very sensitive. It's very political. And indeed, on social media, the pictures used were that of the president, and he was being bashed. And that is not just unfair, but unacceptable. I mean, as a country, it's good to say, why should GSA increase its charges? But GSA charges are not the same as import duty. That's number one. Number two, it is only Parliament, only the Republic of Ghana, the Parliament, that can, levy fees. And Parliament has given approval for some fees to be charged. Linking it into the political moves technical issues, which should be handled by technical people, into the political realm. And for me, that is unfair. I will not pretend that there are no political twists or subtle hints at the back of it.
Well, we can talk about the politics a little bit. I'm just looking at the real push and pull factors and how this is going to trickle down to us, the consumers. So at the end of the day, this news is out there. You know that we're talking about a country that has very high illiteracy levels. Well, we're also talking about the people who run their own business, the informal sector. For example, most of them also rely on such imports. At the end of the day, this rumor, so to speak, is out there. So apart from how you have explained it, the perception is out there that now we're paying more. People we have seen over the years would increase prices.
Regardless.
Yeah, exactly. So even though the explanation is that, oh, this is not what it seems to have been from the beginning, certainly there's going to be some changes, and people are going to say, well, they've increased it, and they will start putting the burden on the consumer. How do we deal with this, if you like, mess that's this particular development has created?
So severally, first and foremost, and it's our responsibility as Standards Authority to actually clear the mess. Because we put out a message, whether it's been misinterpreted or not, our duty is to be sure that the real intent gets to the public. So that is our problem, and we have to deal with it. That I would accept. Number two, by moving our processes completely digital, we are hoping that consumers will now actually feel much less. Because previously, for personal goods and other things, we were meant to charge 500 cedis. We said no. It becomes, quote unquote, another nuisance to people. So several things have come down. But what we believe is that by taking the human bits, the human interference out of the whole system, one, we will actually make more revenue as an authority, but consumers will pay less. But Gifty, I'm going to touch on something, if you kindly permit me, which all Ghanaians have to engage with. For me, quality is not negotiable. But I would ask a question, how much are we willing to pay for quality? We cannot really rely on what I would say inferior quality products to the detriment of our industries. That for me, in fact, any country that relies solely on import will perish.
But that's what we do. We
Currently,
rely
that is what we are doing.
A lot on imports.
We were.
Yeah.
And the mindset should change. I am duty bound to ensure that by forcing quality of products coming into our country, we ensure that our local industries will move up. We have done it in other sectors. Why should Ghanaians buy furniture imported 2 weeks pro? I can give you the data on some of the textiles we've imported. It'll kill you.
Are you charging anything extra on imports on furniture?
No. Unless it's been captured as some other HS goods.
Okay.
But we are not. But what we are doing from the 1st of January, and we've written out, we will check every single furniture. Fortunately, we have a world-class laboratory to test furniture coming into the country. If it doesn't meet the specs, it would have to leave. Because if you don't insist, if you are not robust in enforcing quality, at the end of the day, things go awry for everybody. Case in point, the fuel marketing companies, who's been on air several times, we engaged them during the COVID period and said, look, you say you don't like the naming and shaming, but we have a responsibility towards Ghanaians. My salary is paid by Ghanaians. Now, fortunately, they agreed and said, okay, instead of checking us twice a year, we would agree that you check us 4 times a year.
Okay.
And then we will pay, per time we charge them. And small things like this are beginning to move things up. We are happy that MPA is saying that now check every lubricant coming in. If the quality is bad, let it go bad. Because at the end of the day, every Ghanaian deserves quality. If we state actors do not enforce that, then why are we there?
Are you engaging with the freight forwarders to clear this up because of the position that they've also taken, which is, well, if we have to pay extra for anything, we'll pass it on? Has there been any sort of engagement?
Over the years, we've engaged them multiple times, and we still keep engaging them. Indeed, Guta called and said, now send me NTSO because the air charge is the same. The air charge is the same. I said, well, after writing to about 30 trade agencies that something that was written to them 2 years ago is not being implemented, one goes out. I don't believe in the blame game. At the end of the day, if people have anxieties, it's our duty to explain to them. But the central message remains, and I'll repeat it 1,000 times, import duties have not been increased.
Now, I'm looking at how the Ghana Standards Authority will then bring in the freight forwarders, to have a conversation so that at the end of the day, we don't have split information going out there. That's misinformation essentially to the people. And the earlier you're able to, engage the freight forwarders to ensure that they're not passing on any other charges, for example, the better, isn't it?
We've actually had engagement. We've spoken to Guta. We've spoken to the Traders Advocacy Group, because we've spoken to all these and only one went out. And we believe this message is better coming from the traders. And we are hoping that early next week, most of the traders associations themselves will go out to the country. Because coming from us, quote unquote, we're interested parties. But I believe that the traders themselves who have their own sheets when they go and pay will be speaking to the country. Okay. With our support, of course, because they are not going to move unless we create a platform for them to tell their story.
Let's take a look at the things that have been reduced, the prices that have been reduced for which product or which category of products, if you may.
Petroleum exploration, tobacco products, because the Food and Drug Authority have been charging them now per volume.
Okay.
So we know that they are paying.
But shouldn't we be paying more for that instead to discourage people from smoking?
If you ask me, and I don't make the law, I always believe in what we call the syntax. Products that don't help us, you charge you to fund the health system. But that is a different discussion. I mean, as a health worker, I have a different view, but Parliament also has its views. Our view was that most of those things. But for the exploration, I agree. And indeed, my officers tell me about the ones.
I'm not done. We'll go through the list again. So
I've only given you 2 because these were the ones, but then the ones which have remained the same are also there.
Okay, you can read them to us. I mean, the ones that you have.
The ones that have remained the same are the shopping malls and supermarkets.
Okay.
They have been 20,000 for a huge range of products. If you charge them individually, it gets ridiculously high.
So 20,000 for shopping malls a year.
Imports, yep.
So what it means is that the shopping malls take the money from the individual stores and then they pay.
No, you know, shopping malls import. And when they import, they register as importers.
Okay, as a shopping mall.
As a shopping mall.
Okay.
And if it's an individual supplying tomato paste, food, drinks, mining equipment, you would have been charged per product. But if you look at a shopping mall, they have 200 products. Even if it's 1,000 cities or 500, that's a lot of money.
Okay.
So our view is that you group everything to make it small. And so the figure has remained the same, I think, for the past 5 or 6 years.
Okay, for shopping mall, 20,000 per year.
The same for cement products.
Okay.
5,000 a year. The same for iron rods, steel sheets, and steel coils.
Okay.
Still at 2,000. Printing press equipment, the same. Roofing materials, the same. Lubricants, the same. Then mining equipment, the same.
I think it will be important for the Ghana Standards Authority to list some of these things, and engage the media, engage in some heavy public education so that people know the things that have been reduced, the things that have remained the same, the things that have been increased, so that it guides people. Those of us who care to know if we're going to make any purchase, who care to know and figure out how much we have to pay, so that people go out there guided. Otherwise, anybody can take advantage of this situation and pass on unnecessary costs to consumers. Already people are complaining about the high cost of doing business. People will complain anyway. People have said that, well, the inflation rate hasn't really been unstable. It's been pretty stable. So has the exchange rate. So why do we have to pay more? So that is a conversation that's going on. So without the details, as you have, some of which you have given us, I think it will be very difficult.
I mean, Gifty, I will take your advice, especially coming from communicators.
I'll bring my invoice later.
Thank you very much. We'll be ready for it. But I would like to assure the Ghanaian public, because there are a few things which have gone on. Over the years, we realized that if we don't improve the ease of doing business, we perish as institutions. So you will notice that both the Food and Drugs Authority and the Standards Authority have said that for people who do business with us, we've gone into what we are now calling progressive certification or licensing to ensure that the lowest of the low can be charged 200 cedis, 100 cedis for our services, and big business will be charged what is commensurate to the work you do. Because currently, if you're certifying sachet water or something, different products, what Unilever pays is what a small and medium-sized company is paying, unless they go through a BSSI. And why don't we make it fair to everybody? 2, by digitizing, we are really reducing costs across board. And I think last but not the least, we are making ourselves more open and more accountable to the people who pay for us to be where we are. It's a frustrating job because Ghanaians, on one hand, would approach you and literally beg for bad quality products to come in. And some of us have said we will never yield. I've spent all my career enforcing safety. I just can't change. But there's a mindset that I know is going to lead to a few trouble. Why? Ghanaians hate enforcement, but enforcement there will be. This 2021 will be a year of enforcement. No, because people are, I don't want to use the word reckless, but dangerously so.
Yeah.
As you have seen vehicles, I have seen vehicles where the tail light is like a headlight. Come on, in this country. And we look at it and we think it's right. We have laws, and to the extent that the laws permit us, we would enforce them. We enforce them robustly, and so be it.
Well, Prof, we'll look forward to hearing more of you this year, next year, which is the year of, what do you call it?
Enforcement.
A year of enforcement. But, well, well, if you are listening to us, the Ghana Standards Authority says the import, duties have not been increased. The services provided by the Ghana Standards Authority have seen some variations. Some of the services have been increased, payment for some of the services have been increased, some have been maintained, and some have been reduced subsequently, and hopefully the Ghana Standards Authority will put that list out so that, as much as possible, what they can put out so that people are guided. Prof, thank you so much for coming.
You're welcome, and Afishapa once again.
Afishapa, I think that's Professor Alex Dodo. He is the Director General of the Ghana Standards Authority. You're still watching the AM show. I'm going to take a very quick break. When I return, Mamabi Uswa Bwaje has a package. We'll tell you about it. Do stay with us.
Well, thank you for agreeing to have a conversation with us.
Thank you, Mama V.
And congratulations to you for winning the Ejiso constituency seat.
Thank you very much.
So we will see you in the 8th Parliament.
Definitely. Glory to God.
Great.
And thanks to the people of Ejiso constituency.
I'll come back to the issues surrounding the win.
Okay.
Or things that happened after the win.
Okay.
But I want us to look at your office, first of all.
Yeah.
And I want us to look at what you've been able to achieve or not in the year 2020.
Okay.
One of the issues that we've battled with, jobs. There are people who still need jobs today.
Yes.
But you claim you've created you state on your website, for instance, that you've created over 90,000 jobs.
Sure.
So why do we still have a lot of unemployed people in the system if you've created that many jobs?
Okay, thank you very much. Obviously, there are so many young people in this country who are looking for jobs. And the Ghana kind of unemployment situation, when they say they are looking for jobs, sometimes it's also more to do with changing of jobs. People are not so happy with what they are doing. They think that if they had a better job, they will hook onto. But we still have large numbers of unemployment because if you look at the backlog especially between 2013 and 2016 when we joined the IMF and there was some kind of embargo on public sector recruitment, we had millions of youth without jobs. So if you come in and, the past 4 years, collectively we have done about 2 million jobs from all sectors, both private and public sectors, across different ministry sectors, departments and agencies, and also in the private sector.
Is this the NEIP initiative?
Contributed up to about 100,000 of those jobs, but of course job creation cannot be one agency business. It has to be NAPCO, it has to be Planting for Food and Jobs, it has to be the National Entrepreneurship and Innovation Program, it has to be the National Youth Employment Agency. So it is, when you're talking about job creation, you are talking about different agencies, ministries and departments playing their role to create opportunities and space for young people to work. But I am happy to announce that so far, through the NEIP program, we were able to create over 100,000 jobs in the last...
in 2020 alone?
No, in 2020 alone, we did 26,000 across the country in 2020 alone. And even in the last quarter, going into December, we came out a special program called the Ghana Skills Development Program, where we partnered with faith-based institutions like the churches, the Muslim groups, to train their business groups because of COVID. So it was like a COVID support to different institutions and groups which are faith-based. And that also helped to touch about 50,000 individuals across the country. So yes, we have not done all issues of unemployment, but I can tell you that we have responded heavily to the question of youth job creation in the country.
So why do we still get a lot of people screaming and saying they don't have jobs? There's a lot of graduate unemployment also.
Yes, it is true. And I've told you the numbers are in millions. So when you create hundreds of thousands of jobs, we still have to do more. And that is why we ask the Ghanaian people to give us 4 years to do more. But the good news is that the NDC in the previous administration, when they used to have youth enterprise support, which is what is now the NEIP, the National Entrepreneurship and Innovation Program, they supported only 66 businesses across the country in all their 8 years. So if we have done over 100,000 jobs in 3 years or 4 years, it means that we can do better.
How do we verify this number that you've given us?
Well,
where do we find the people that you've given the jobs?
They are all over the country. If you go to our website, there are people with contacts. These are public information you can verify. And especially in 2020, we worked through every district assembly in Ghana. We train a minimum of 100 businesses across the country in every district. So it's a matter of just speaking to the local authority in your district and find out which people benefited. They are there, you can confirm.
Can we clarify something? Is it creating jobs from the scratch, or you're training people who already have businesses?
Both. But the focus of the NEP program is from ideation to startup and scale up stage. So sometimes people have it, but you need to empower them more to scale up. Sometimes too, they have it in ideation. For instance, one of the key programs my office and National Service collaborated to do is to select students who have started their own businesses on campus or have ideas to start their businesses on campus. Then during the National Service, they get them posted to NEIP, and we post them on their businesses for the 1 year. So the 1 year that you are receiving government allowances for National Service, you are actually working for yourself and growing your business. At the end of the day, when you finish your NSS program, you can apply for further funding under the National Entrepreneurship and Innovation Program.
How many such people did you get in the year 2020?
2020, we have about 50.
50
young people.
Okay.
And assuming each of them is employing 3 or 4 people, you can count the number of jobs that are being created.
Yeah, but we also know that new startups also fail.
Yes, that's the reality of startup across the world. But sometimes you notice that even the little percentage that do well and survive have better impact on the economy than not attempting to support startups at all.
What the kind of support that you do training
first,
but you also give cash to some people.
Sure.
And you say that in 2020 you've given a lot more people than you did previously.
Sure.
Even though you give them less compared to what you've given out in the previous years.
Yes.
Okay. But how many of these people actually pay back? Because this is not free cash.
No, this is not free cash. This is government funding, and it's taxpayers' money, so we have to recoup. And the reason why we are able to do more this year is because the previous recovery rate was high. So we're able to add the recovered funds to addition to this year's budget to give out more. I can say that because of the processes and procedure of the NEIP program, we have very high recovery rates, over 70%. But for COVID, before COVID was 70%. In fact, COVID brought it almost to zero because the president himself issued an embargo on repayment for 6 months, so we were not getting it. What we do is that after we have trained and funded your project, you have 3 years compulsory mentoring engagement with the program. So we send people to you. Those who train you become your mentors and guide you and see how best, when it's your repayment schedule is due, you are able to pay on time. So we had a very high repayment rate, and it's still very high. But now, because of the COVID, we needed to, give a lot of room to so many people to pick up. But the good news is that now they have started repaying, and business is back on track.
So, because you said there was the 6-month window.
Yes.
So when did people start paying?
Depends on the nature of businesses we fund. some of the businesses, they can start paying after 2 months.
Okay.
Especially those who are into fashion, designing, clothing and selling and those trading. But those who want to go into, let's say, livestock rearing, those who want to do poultry, you need to give them up to 6 months for them to go through the period of planting and harvesting and marketing before they can come and settle.
Okay.
So those who pay regularly can do monthly, and the NEIP allows you to negotiate your periods of repayment. So you can choose monthly payment, quarterly payment, once a year or quarterly, depends. So you tell us the nature of your business. Once we are putting the funds in, we know when to start asking you to pay back.
Okay, have you had people coming forward because of COVID-19 to renegotiate the terms of repayments?
Several of them, and we understood them. We had to send people on the field, and of course, restaurants were closed down, hotels were closed down. So if somebody was into that sector, there was no way you will expect the person to be able to repay. So yes, even public activities like weddings and churches. So if somebody was into fashion, clothing, obviously you have to understand that the business event organization, the business was going to go down. So yes, several of them have re-engaged us for more flexible repayment terms.
Have you factored in, those who can't genuinely pay at all, pay back?
We haven't seen that yet. I mean, businesses go down, but doesn't mean you're out of business. And it's not good on your business to tell us you're, liquidated. You've gone bankrupt. That means that you are not even entitled to further support. But those who come to us actually want further support. They want further engagement, and it's not always about the money. Sometimes we are able to help them with access to market, which helps them to revamp their businesses. Yeah.
Okay. So would you say you've made losses in 2020 with regards to the loans that you've given out and the repayments?
We are not looking for profits, so I won't say we have made losses, but I would say that the level of impact we wanted to make with our intervention has not been achieved the way we wanted because of the target we set, but we understand it because of the times. And it's not only about Ghana. In fact, it's a global thing that we are even lucky to be less hit by it.
How much money do you have left end of 2020?
For the year budget, we exhausted. It is year by year basis, so I won't say we have anything left.
That was what, 100,000?
Million.
100 million.
The 100 million was the period of 2017 to 2020, which we have exhausted. In the next term, we have $200 million target for skills and job creation.
Which is 2021?
From 2021 to 2024.
Okay,
yes.
So that's 4 years.
So that's double. So we are hoping to double whatever we did in the first term.
Okay.
Through the NEIP and other job creation institutions.
So the window for people to apply has closed for 2020?
Yes, it's likely to open in March of 2021.
Okay, so first quarter?
First quarter.
Okay, great. All right, so now let's come back to your personal achievement in 2020.
Okay.
You fought the battle again in Ejiso and you won, which means that you'll be in Parliament in January.
Yes.
Okay, so congratulations again.
Thank you, Mama.
Yeah, but there were issues surrounding the win. For instance, we heard about, was it the constituency chairman whose house was set ablaze?
Yes.
How far with that situation? How has it been resolved? Has he received justice? You are a lawyer.
Yes, it's a painful experience. It was very difficult news for everybody, very sad and painful. Unfortunately, when bad things happen, you have to be calm. So we are all calm about it. We reported it to the authorities. Fire service came in, the Ghana Police Service came in. Investigation is still ongoing. So
we don't know the cause.
We don't know
of
the cause yet.
We can't tell if it is passing.
No, we can't tell. Well, there are suspicions, but there is no basis for me to say it's A or B. And I have advised all of them to be calm and for us to look up to the police and the CID for them to do a thorough investigation, to advise us on what was the cause and all that. A lot of things can cause fire in our homes. And whilst we think that it could be arson, it could also be an accident. So let's wait for the police to come out, and then we can make conclusions.
Is all well within the constituency NPP?
Very,
because
very well.
This sounded more like an internal issue than, an inter-party kind of thing.
Well, there can be conflict in every household, but I can tell you that Ejiso NPP is one of the most united constituencies across the country. If you look at our vote results, from 54,000 in 2016, we got 69,800 in 2020. That's a massive addition of over 15,000. So if you are not united, you can't add on the votes. We can have one or two disagreements amongst ourselves, as is always the case even in families. So I don't think that it is the level where we can be talking about, burning our houses and carrying. No, I don't think so.
Are you convinced that you're going to Parliament in 2021 from a place where everybody's backing you, from even within your own party?
Well, it's not possible to have everybody backing me. Actually, I won by 58% during the primary, so there is still about 42% of the members of my party whom I have to work hard to win their support the next time. So I am not under any delusion that I am going to be supported 100%. But that's why our constitution says that you don't need 100% support. It's a 50% plus one. So I can say that I have the majority support. And once I have the majority support, I'm in a position to work to satisfy everybody in the constituency. And hopefully, they see my performance, those who are not on my side may decide to join and help me carry out my activities.
I've had many conversations with first-term MPs who went into the House with various backgrounds. You're a lawyer, but I'm told that that is not even an advantage because Parliament is a different ballgame altogether.
Sure.
What should we expect from you? How fast do you think you can learn the procedures of Parliament so we'll see you actively participate?
Well, you're right. We are going in with a mindset to learn, to study. And Elon Musk said that you can be a specialist in every field if you take time to read the basics of the field and concentrate on how you can specialize. So yes, I'm going there to learn as a first-time MP, but I can tell you that with my background in politics from student days, when we have been with Students' Representative Council, with the National Union of Ghana Students, and all kinds of General Assembly sittings, which is similar to Parliament. You learn your standing orders, you have to, your points of order and points of information and all that. We already have the soft skill back days in schools. So it's just a matter of just the first few months observing and learning the rules, and then you'll be able to fully and effectively participate. So I'm very confident that I'm going to play an effective role in Parliament.
We wish you well.
Thank you very much.
And that's an earlier conversation with John Kumar. He won the Ejiso constituency seat. He will be in Parliament, the 8th Parliament. We also talked about the organization that he heads, the NYEIP. Gifty and up here, you've got messages because I see you with the WhatsApp tab.
Yeah, well, I'm trying to figure out because people are commenting on different things, and so and then some way somehow our numbers that we put out, people have created, added us to pages. I mean, it's
people are hosting us. Yeah, on our
I mean,
page.
like so we have so many pages, so that at the time I can actually get through to your message. I'm confronted by so many unsolicited messages, so I'm trying to look through that. But I want to just do this quick shout out to a friend of mine, Mama V. And as the year comes to an end, I think that we should take time to appreciate the people in our lives. His name is Israel Fiani. He's currently a PhD candidate in Australia. And Israel, I've known him since 2010. I know he's watching the show today because he texted me about my dance moves. So, Israel, I just want to use this very special occasion to say that thank you for being there since 2010. We were in an interview at UPSA where I had my first...
A job interview?
Yes.
Did he also get it?
Yeah, he got it.
Oh, okay.
When we started the same time, January 2010.
Aww.
And we've been friends since 2010.
Nice.
He left, went to, pursue his PhD, and since then we've still been in touch, and he's always
Let's
there.
call him Dr. Israel.
Well, yeah, very soon. This year, I mean, he's faced a lot of hurdles. It's not easy.
Yeah.
It's not easy at all.
know.
He's faced a lot of hurdles, but this year, dear. This year, dear. So, Israel Fiani, this is a very special one for going out to you. Mapito is getting ready to do some showbiz.
Yeah,
Please don't call this line. And just a quick shout out again to now Mele van der Poy. You say you have a swollen feet. Please get well very soon, right?
Okay, I have a special shout out, and because you talked about friendship.
Oh yes.
Sometimes you create friendships in areas where you actually don't even expect. One person
right?
in my life is Mr. Ebenezer Kofi Esel. He's head of Food Industrial Support Services Department of the FDA. I know you're looking at me like, is he your friend?
Yeah, I'm like, hello.
He's a friend beyond the work.
Really?
Beyond the work.
That one I must investigate.
We have an amazing relationship, even as a family. So, Mr. Ebenezer Kofi Esel of the Food and Drugs Authority, a happy new year to you and your amazing family.
Okay, so let's allow Mapito to come in there. But people are messaging NPP supporters and saying, that politicians are using the opportunity to say thank you to their... Okay, let's Maps come and do entertainment. And when we have some time, maybe we can do the rest of the shout-outs.